Welcome to another edition of the Seat Shop installation video series. In this episode, we're going to be walking you through how to replace a driver bottom or passenger bottom on any 2007 or 2008 Ford Expedition or Lincoln Navigator. Brian's going to walk you through some of the tools here we're going to use.
All right, we got, you're going to need a 10 millimeter. We got it on a long extension to get up underneath the frame. Probably need a flathead, pry tool. If you don't have a pry tool, a couple flatheads will work. A pair of needle nose pliers. We got a pair of snips here. A pair of hogging pliers. This is really going to help towards the end. We got some. If you don't have a set, we got some available on our website too. Cheapo set that'll work for you. We got a impact or a drill or just a regular hand ratchet, whatever you need, whatever you got. And we need a Torx bit also. This is going to be a T20. T20 is the size for the Torx you'll need. And that's pretty much it. We got a Phillips head screw bit that'll go on our impact. If you don't have that, just get your regular Phillips head screwdriver. That's pretty much it. We're going to go start tearing this apart and show you what all's involved and how you can do it yourself.
Okay. Good. Slide it over here.
All right. First, we got to pull some of the plastic paneling to get underneath the seat here. The front panel, there's no screws to hold it on. It's all quick connects. So this thing will just pop right off. So you don't have to dig around underneath looking for the panels. Perfect. Now, before we get the other panel off, I want to go over one of the real important pieces of this install is when you are pulling your seat from the truck. It's a whole lot easier to do with it out of the truck. Matter of fact, you need to have it out of the truck to get to these bolts. There's two big power control, where all the power wires from your floorboard come into the seat. Now, how these come apart it's real important because if you break it, then it usually doesn't seat back in there right, and it throws, sensors off in your dash, and your airbag lights go on, all this other jazz. You don't want to mess with that. To get the seat out of the truck, there's going to be 4 bolts in the floorboard. It's typically going to be a Torx, a T55 is going to be your size. Typically, you'll find all of them are Torx T55s. You may have an 18 millimeter nut in the back, but if you get an 18 mil in a T55 Torx, you're good. Now you can get it out to this stage. Let me show you how to disconnect these. So there's you get your 2 main plugs, okay? They're all kind of one big harness. This is the cable that runs through the floorboard. It's just cut right here. So this tab here, this whole thing is going to push down and it's going to eject the whole cable assembly there. So this one has a little push down tab. Let's rock this all the way back. And both of them are different from each other. This one's different than this one. Let's see, this one may pull. Okay, this one pulls forward. So this one, on the gray tab, you wind up pulling it towards you. There's a little piece in the middle you can pinch towards you, and then it rocks down and it ejects it. Okay. If this isn't just rocking down easy, then it's still catching there, and you don't want to break that because this won't. When it comes back, it won't seat hard and this thing's not going to seat in there right, and you're going to have all kinds of freaking problems, and you really don't want to buy a new wiring harness. So this one pinches and ejects. Okay, and this one kind of just the opposite. You got to push on the white part, and then this ejects down. So you push in on this tab here, and then this whole thing swings down and ejects your whole piece. Okay, so it's real important you pay attention to that. You don't want to break those, and these are just some easy quick connects.
Yeah, and these have a little push tab that slides, and these 2 yellow connections. They're going to be your airbags, so they're really, really important that you don't break those. But it has a little sliding button on here. If you just slide it up, it'll disconnect like that. It's the sliding button's right here.
Gotcha. See those sliders? There we go.
Yep.
There it is. Okay. Yeah. Pull this whole reverse forward there.
So just make sure that you don't break any of those connections while you're getting it out of the truck. Otherwise, you're going to have problems forever on the dash with the airbags.
The truck may be different, maybe backwards. One of them, it may be you pull the tab here on this one, but yours maybe you push the big harness and then for it to open up. One or the other, just make sure it's not hard and you don't break it. It's real important that thing doesn't break. Okay, moving on. Pulling the rest of the control panel off here.
Get the Torx bit, the T20 there. And there's a Torx screw right here at the front that we're going to get out. That's going to release at least the front part of this. And let's see. Okay. And Now there's going to be, it's a two-part system right here. So the control panel right here with the switches on it, that's going to be one piece that's almost like an insert, that pushes into this panel right here, and you'll see underneath. But if you push the leather back right here, you'll see three or four tabs across the top of it. There's also going to be the same tabs on the bottom, but they will just pull off like a quick connect. So we're going to go, let's see.
It's kind of a skeleton frame that's screwed onto the frame underneath there. Then this is just kind of a little control bezel that goes over the top of it.
And once you get those, let's see, there's 4 or 5 of them on either side. Then push this plastic piece forward to release it from the back. It has 2 little hooks here that slide into the back. Behind this control panel are going to be 2 electrical connections. There's going to be one at the front. Now the button is in between this plastic piece and the actual lever, or the actual plug. I'll show you in a second. And the back one is at the top. So I can go ahead and push that little button down at the top and disconnect the back one. I'll show you here in a second. Now the front one, you'll have to get your fingers wedged in between this plastic piece and that plug. Push the button and slide it out forward. You'll see here. So that button right here is on the inside that pinches your fingers in between the plastic. All right. And there's one more Torx bit at the front here. The rest are going to be Phillips. So get your T20. Take out that screw. Now we can switch to the Phillips. There's going to be 4 of them. They're black.
Now these screws, the bigger screws he's pulling right now, there's a flap of the cover that they actually run through. So there's you get the plastic frame, then the screw goes through that. It also goes through a cloth flap that's on the side of the cover. Actually kind of holds it on. It's kind of a weird idea with it, but it actually runs through those flaps.
There's that flap. Now on the back side of it, there's going to be a quick push tab that's behind here. So if you just get your hands underneath it and to the back of it, you can pull it. You're not breaking anything like that. And I'll show you here. Right there, there's a white push tab there that sets in this white button here. And this flap right here is part of the cover as well. It wraps around with carpet on the back side of it. We'll show you how to hook that back on when you're reassembling everything. So go ahead and take that off. And let me see that pry tool. There's 2 push tabs too through this cloth side. There's going to be one at the front, one at the back. You can use a flathead. We use pry tools. It makes it a little easier, but you can still do it with the flathead. Just
make
get
sure
those.
You keep yours. Take them from your old cover and transfer them to the new your new cover. You'll need to reuse those push tabs.
There we go. They're just plastic little tabs. They look like little Christmas trees. There. Okay. Now we can flip it upside down and get to those 10mm bolts underneath.
All right, the top 2 bolts are pretty straightforward. You can just see them sitting there. Pull those out. The bottom's got a kind of a weird little apparatus on. We'll show you when we get these top 2 off. And this whole mechanism here is bolted. This bolt holds all it on too. So when you undo these 2, most of this stuff's just going to drop and kind of hang. But don't worry about it. That one, I can't see it from here.
Okay.
There we go. Okay. Now the bottom, there's 2 more bolts here. There's also a little metal, kind of half pipe shaped rig here that holds this on. So we can get to the bolts and this little piece will drop off. I'll show you how it hooks back. Okay. Now, here it is. So this little piece, this little T at the back, will hook into. There's a plastic assembly on the back of your seat pan, and there's a slot where this little T fits in. It goes through and it hooks right there, so that's hooked on the back. Then that clamps closed, runs your bolt. So that's how that whole assembly looks. And when this falls off, you need it. Don't kick it in the corner of the garage. You're gonna need that to put it back on.
Okay.
This wire here may be also pushed into and attached to the seat pan. Same thing, those little Christmas tree tabs, and use a pry tool or some flatheads to pop it off. We already had this one pulled off, but with that out of the way, we're good. So there's no other real wires we got to disconnect. So now the seat pan, with those 4 pieces undone, this whole seat pan is going to come out.
Yeah. There we go. So there it is. And then
do some Velcro on the side. Just get these.
Oh yeah.
My side to get Velcro.
Yep.
All right, so there's a little slot in the cover that your seatbelt feeds through. Typically, you're going to have some Velcro on the sides here. This is going to wrap around, and there's a little pocket. This thing the cover's going to slide up over that when we are pulling it off. That's pretty much everything I need done Velcro there.
Here. And lift up. On the bottom of the seat pan, like where those little loops, the metal loops that wrap around and bolt to it, there's also going to be a plastic clamp that's built onto the seat pan. That clamp, or that plastic little half pipe, the seat channel actually fits down on a metal bar or pipe that's built onto the seat frame. So when you have all these bolts off, you can
pull it up,
wiggle it and loosen it.
There we go.
And you got your seat belt.
Yeah, make sure some of this carpet's not stuck on the frame. There we go.
Okay.
There we go.
Okay. And I'll move it.
All right, now this whole thing is all one piece. So you got the pan with the foam and the cover all in one piece. This thing was off. We'll put this on for this thing. Pops off here. Okay. Now, the fan motor for your air conditioners, if you have the heated and cooled seats, there's 2 screws you need to pull off it so you can get to this clip here to get it off. If you don't have the heated and cooled, that's just one less step you got to worry about. Look at that, the impactor we're doing, the torch and hook over there.
Get one over there.
Yep. So same thing, the T20. There's 2 screws here. Back these off. Okay. Now the frame itself isn't actually threaded for these screws. There's a little metal tab that kind of sits over it, and that's what's threaded. So make sure you don't lose these. Sometimes these are loose and can fall off. You're going to need these, or else you're not going to be able to thread this piece back on. So these 2 little metal tabs are pretty important. We kind of bent this one on to hold on tight, but this one's staying put here too. So this will pull off. There's just 4 little triangles that go through little slots in the frame here. That pulls there. This is actually pretty loose. Whenever your seat is on the frame, you kind of see this whole gap here. When this is here, when you put it on the seat frame, that flows in and it tightens it up. So these are going to aren't that bad to pull off. We'll pull those out of the way. We're going to pull this back off here. Get your pry tool or some screwed flatheads. Clip across the back. There we go. The whole seat pan is like a freaking razor blade. So all these edges are really, really sharp. Don't try to do it with your fingers. Get you a screwdriver or a pry tool or something to get in there to pop these things off. I mean, you'll really cut yourself up bad on them. That's that. And this clip will back off and roll off that way. So that's all done. The cover's unclipped from underneath. I'm going to flip it over. We're going to start to take the cover off. We'll just pick a corner, roll it up. You don't want to yank it right off because it's anchored down all over the cover. So I just want to start to turn it inside out like this. Get the wings flipped over like that. Here we go. Okay, now this particular cover is held on with hog rings and Velcro. So you're going to need your snips. You're going to go through, run up and down each side first. And separate it here, and you can see where all the hog rings are that are anchored onto it. So, slip this on. Yep. Other side. Okay, we got one goes horizontal here. Now your middle strip, right down the middle, the center is going to be Velcro. Peel it up. You don't want to just yank it off. You want to kind of roll back an inch at a time. Take the thumb and push down on the prickly part that's on the foam, and kind of roll it back. If you don't want to rip it off. If you do wind up pulling the Velcro strip off, not a big deal. Just get you some spray adhesive and go ahead and glue that piece back down to the foam. With that to the side, we want to grab our needle nose pliers. We want to pull all the all the old clippings out of there. You don't want all those little metal pieces inside the seat frame. So we'll pull all these out. Make sure you keep them. Make sure they don't just wind up on the bench. When you put the new cover on, you don't want it laying flat down on top of one of these sharp pieces of metal. It'll scratch your new cover up. Pull these out. Now the cover will come with a little baggie of hog rings with it, so there will be a little Ziploc baggie of hog rings, so you'll have new ones. Don't think you gotta reuse the old ones and like that. There'll be new ones in there, but you definitely want to get a set of hog ring pliers. There's a lot of them on this cover, and it's a real pain to deal with those. Not fun. Let me show you real quick what hog ring does. So here's your hog ring. Here's your hog ring pliers. One thing about the hog ring pliers is it's got a little groove channel cut on the inside of these that holds your hog ring. You bend it, you just simply bend it in a triangle. That's all it's doing. So try to do some needle nose, and it's not fun. That's it. Now we're gonna grab the new cover, go ahead and put it. I'll show you how to reassemble it all. Put the new cover on here, and put the seat back together. All right. First thing we're gonna do is we're gonna line up the seams. This particular model has hog rings and Velcro, so you've got hog ring strips that run here and across here, then you got a Velcro strip down the middle. I'm going to start running the hog ring strip on this horizontal first, and then move out from there, and the last thing we'll do is we'll set the Velcro in the middle. So I got the cover flipped like this with the sides coming up. I'll just kind of lay it on there, and then I'll fold this back. Now I can see my stitch line for the center. Make sure that looks pretty close to line up with your Velcro, and then you're going to look at these two hog ring strip bars here and check them out with the grooves in the cover here. So we're going to go with this front, the horizontal piece here first. There we go. All right, and hog ring pliers. Set of hog ring pliers makes this whole job a whole heck of a lot easier. Here's a set I have that's spring loaded. They're about a $20 set. But if you need a set of hog ring pliers, they're available on the site as well. They're $6. It's a whole lot better than using needle nose pliers. You can use needle nose, but man, it's a real pain. But these things are real handy for this cover because there's quite a bit of hog rings you got to put on. It's going to make it a whole lot easier to do. Bring that on. You'll be able to easily see where each hog ring goes in because it'll be you'll just see this little kind of tan colored cord that's built into the foam, and there'll be a little about a 1 inch, 3/4 inch little section that's kind of void of foam, and you'll see that little bar sticking through. So that's where you know where you need to hog ring it on. So, okay, so we got the horizontal on. Probably actually going to go ahead and pull the center down tight and run the Velcro. I'm just lining the Velcro up right down here, and I'm going to just run my finger down it. Here, set that. That's good. Now, we'll do each side. Now, you can, if you get this pulled too far forward or back, you may get some crease lines that go like this. You want to make sure you're pulling it straight toward you. With this, your Velcro is anchored. You're going to pull it straight toward you. Make sure you're not pulling it forward or back. That way it's not getting cattywampus there and getting a bunch of crease lines and stuff in it. If you do get some crease lines, you can either run your hand up on the Velcro and undo it and kind of get it where it's sitting level, then push it back and you reset the Velcro. Velcro's going to be a whole lot easier to reseat than cutting the hog rings off and re-hog ringing. Okay. These foam cushions can wear out pretty quick. Having a good foam underneath it that really supports the left side where you're sliding out is pretty dang important. If your foam's pretty beat down on the left side, especially where you're sliding out the left panel, that's what always takes all the abuse. We carry a lot of the foam cushions. We do have some of the foams for this model. We have both the ones that are heated and cooled, as well as the ones that are just plain that don't have the heated and cooled feature. So if your foam's getting pretty pancaked down, it's soft here, and you really want to think about getting a new cushion, it's going to make the new cover wear like it's supposed to. Without the support on that left panel where you come in and out, the new cover is going to wear out a whole lot faster. There's no difference in the seat if it's heated or cooled, or heated and cooled versus just the plain one. Everything's the same. They just put perforated leather in the middle of the air-conditioned ones, and then the foam's got little ports for the air to blow up through it. But everything else is the same. So if yours isn't heated and cooled, don't worry. You're going to go through the exact same steps that we're going through right here. Okay, now we got those hog rings on. So now the face is good. We're going to roll the corners over. I'm just going to line this up here. Alright, now I'm going to start in each one, just pick a corner, doesn't matter which corner. I take my hands and I kind of put them on the seam line on the inside and kind of just tuck and roll over. There, over here on this side. I'm kind of pushing out with my hand to pull slack out of it, and then I'm just going to work my way down and roll it over the corners there. Yeah, that should work good. If you get a bunch of lines going crazy, that means you've got it kind of too far forward or back. You may want to, if it's real bad, you may need to undo the hog rings and kind of readjust, but we're looking pretty good here. And once we get it wrapped underneath and clipped, it's going to get us pulled tight. So I'm going to flip it over. Make sure you wipe off your work area before you flip it over. If you got an old hog ring laying around, you don't want to lay your fresh new leather cover down on a hog ring and scratch it up real bad. I've done it. So I'm going to get this off. These little pieces underneath here is really sharp. So be real careful when you put these in. There's just these little tabs that'll push down and slide in to all these little slots. It's gonna be pretty loose when you're putting this on, but when you put this back, the seat pan back onto the frame, it fills a big gap that's in here, and this pushes down and it really tightens up. So it's not going to get super tight until you put it back on the frame and get it all bolted on. So when you're putting it here and you think, oh man, this is really loose, don't worry about it until you get it on the frame, and then it's going to tighten right up. So with those hooked, here, one of these clips over. Okay. Now this front one is kind of funky. It rolls over. You may think it's on backwards. This piece is going to roll over the front and then push down. So that kind of lines up right here, and then roll over and push down. You'll hear it clip like that. That's one hook's on there tight. Same thing with this sucker here. So then we're going to pull this around, move it back, blow the motor out of the way. Okay, put it on there. Alright, we're going to screw the blower motor back on. Now there's these little metal tabs here. These are the parts that are actually threaded. So these are where these can fall off too. So when you're taking them off, make sure that these things don't go all over hell and back, because you're going to need them to be able to put this back on. There's no threads in the frame. That's on there. Okay, let's flip it over and make sure everything's looking good. Looks good. Alright, now we're going to go ahead and install the seat pan back onto the frame. Do this over the side. Yep. Perfect.
Okay.
Now, at the back of this, it's got two little clips here that hook onto this metal pipe across the back, so these things will seat onto it. So that's the first step we need. We need to go and lock it onto there, and then we can keep moving.
And this excess carpet flaps and everything, just push it toward the middle of the seat, and that way you can get your hand underneath, in between the bottom and top, and just kind of feed those through.
There's also a pocket on the side for the seat belt to come up through. So just make sure you feed that through on the side. Really easy to see once you get look on that side piece.
Yep. All right, we can lean it back so we can take a look. You can kind of look down in there when we're pretty close. Good. Push that down there. Is all the carpet out of the way?
Yep.
Okay. There we go.
It's pushed on.
Seat's right on.
Okay.
And then also, it may bunch up here on the surface, and so you can just grab this carpet in the back and just pull all the excess stuff out. All right. This clip this funky looking plastic clip on the side, that's going to come into play in a second. You can leave that loose right now. This one will feed over and Velcro on the side.
Let me show you this little flap looking on the side here. So this is the big flap we pulled through the center, and then when you feed where there's a pocket here where your seatbelt went through, and you got Velcro here and here. This is just going to pull around. It's going to hook onto these, and this extra flap is going to tuck up into your seat top. If you need to, you can unzip the top. It's just got a zipper that runs up, but you can probably feed up there. Unless feeding was a real pain, you can unzip it there. Okay.
Yep. All right. Turn this. All right. Grab all these screws here for the side panel. Now this little flap here, this cloth flap, before we make the cuts, we're going to make small little cuts so the side panel, we can get the screws back into the side panel. But before you make the cuts, there's those two little push tabs, remember? You have a razor?
Yeah.
Yeah. And they go in this hole right here. So your screw's in this hole. The push tab goes in here. So I'm just going to pull this cloth material down. You can feel through it with your finger. Just going to make a small little cut.
The hole the screw goes through is obviously threaded, so if you're not sure which one's which, you'll see one hole is definitely threaded for a screw to go in, and one hole is just a hole in the middle with no threads without any grooves cut in it, so you can tell which one's which.
Where's my cut? There we go. There's one, and the second one's up here at the front. Another small little cut. And the second push tab. All right. Now with that said, that'll get you at least aligned with that cloth material so you can look and know where you need to cut the little slits for the Phillips screws that hold on that side panel. There's one here, so you don't have to cut real big. Just make a small little incision wherever those are going to screw on. Got one there. Got one here in the center. And one up here at the front, just above that other push tab. Okay. Now this is when that side little flap, the plastic flap, will come into play. It has a tail on it too as well right here. That's excess that will just tuck up in the top. I have the back unzipped. Go ahead and push that in, zip it down, and fold this around. Now remember, this white tab here will go into the white hole right here. So
not every one of them have the same, exact white tab. There can be some sort of a tab that's going to push on there. So if your model doesn't have that little white spoke picket that's sticking out, don't worry. There's going to be some kind of apparatus in the same location like that hooks onto the frame. It could be one of those little Christmas tree push tabs. It could be this white deal, but it's not the 100% same. We've seen a couple of them that are a little different, but the premise is the same right there. There's this little piece of hook will hook onto the frame.
Yep. And tuck that excess plastic there. And make sure that white tab, too, runs through that plastic, the rim right there. Going to put it there. And push it on. And then these wires, too, feed them, because you'll have to reconnect it to the control panel. So we're just going to feed the wires through the plastic, the opening right there. And, yeah, right there. All right. Phillips. You can start with the front one here. Will you hold this panel right there, I believe.
You don't want to tighten these very tight. You want to get them snug, but if you get it too hard, it can snap through the plastic.
There it is. Okay. And now with those, the back plastic piece set and the front screw, we should just be able to run these. On here in the middle. Oop. Make sure this feeds through here. Go. And now for the electrical control panel. Oh, I know I missed one up here. Do you have that Torx bit?
Yeah.
And there's that one Torx, the star bit up here at the front. Go ahead and get that one on. There we go. Now these connect the electrical, the quick connects, one in the back and one at the front.
Get that other
Okay.
Torx screw over here.
Oh yeah.
Line that up one way. There we go. Okay.
And then this panel, it starts by, push it forward, and then these two little catches in the back will slide back in to the. So we'll start with it forward.
Just line your back up, and then we'll rock it all backwards.
There. Back. There. Okay.
Alright, perfect. Yeah, there's a little tab that lines up. There's a tab on the front of this, kind of an oval shaped piece, and there's a oval shaped cut in this black piece, and that'll snap in, and there's a little Torx screw that'll run right in the top end, so you'll know it's seated all the way. Okay.
Alright. With that, before we put on the front panel, we're going to now run the two 10mm bolts underneath to secure the seat pan to the frame. So we can tip that back. So we can hang it right there.
Spacing is kind of tight getting up underneath here. So.
Yeah.
Hold this.
Okay. That'll be lined up. It's a little tricky getting them all lined up. Oh yeah. Yeah, right there.
This hole over here is good.
Okay. Okay.
I'm not going to torque them down tight yet. We'll just get these kind of 3/4 of the way on. We'll get the bottoms set. Once we get the bottoms threaded, then we can come back and torque them all in.
Can you get that socket on there? There we go. Okay. And the back two 10mm are attached to these little loops that actually clip over that seat frame. So we can lock them in there. There it is. I'll hold that. All right, with all those at least in place, now you can go ahead and torque them down. So, all four of them. Okay. All right. Last is going to be that front panel. And remember, these are just the quick connect tabs. Just line up the tabs with the grooves and all the plastic. Like there. There you go. That's pretty much it. We'll go ahead and get this bolted back in the truck, and we'll be ready to roll. Thanks for watching this episode of the Seat Shop's video installation series. If you have any questions about this install, any of our other installs, or any factory match replacement leather seat covers for your vehicle, please give us a call at 214-710-2565 or visit our website at www.theseatshop.com.